Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here tonight, boys.
I'm talking about we're beaten.
We're not beaten.
I'm not beaten. We're in this game. Anybody here tired?
No.
Sonny, not tired. Holt?
I'm just warming up, Sheriff.
Connor?
I'm ready, John.
Bertie, you with us?
Yep.
Good. Because the Rangers are starting to breathe through their mouths. The strides are getting shorter. Do not give these guys too much respect. They didn't pull a dog sled, did they?
No.
Didn't skate the river, did they?
No.
This is our pond.
Now Cameron Hughes gets the ran over the line. Clean pass for Morrison across. The shot, they score! Ryan Winterton and the Firebirds take the lead. 6:08 to go in the first period. Logan Morrison right up the tape for Winterton. And Coachella Valley out in front for the first time in the series.
You know they just want you to bleed, right? I'm here to do whatever they need me to do. You know, if they need me to bleed, then I'll bleed for my team.
Let's go. Pretty boy. Let's go.
Introduce yourself.
Jim. My name's also Jim.
Problem solved.
Thanks, James.
Now, as far as serving the tendy goes, if they're shooting, you're getting your body in front of it. Everybody blocking shots. All you useless guys, blocking shots, bugging Appledorns. Now everybody knows the role. Eh, Sanguinet?
Everyone knows the role. Everyone does their job.
Yeah, so.
For Parsonen, McCormick tries to jam it loose in front, comes to Del Gaizo, pass broken up, John Hayden coming in shorthanded, looking for the hat trick, Hayden's in, he scores! John Hayden, a shorthanded goal, the hat trick for Haynes, 1:57 left in the second period, and it's 5-1 Coachella Valley.
I want to win that championship tonight, but I want to win it clean. Old-time hockey. Like when I got started, you know? Jeez, Toe Blake, Dick Clapper, Eddie Shore, those guys were the greats.
Reg is our coach.
Yeah, sure, old-time hockey. Like Eddie Shore.
Yeah. Coach, our line starts.
Sure.
You were born to be hockey players. Every one of you. And you were meant to be here tonight. This is your time.
Greetings, friends, and Firebirds fans, and welcome to the Fire and Ice podcast presented by Desert Willow Golf Resort. Fire and Ice, the official podcast of your Coachella Valley Firebirds, two-time defending Western Conference champions of the American Hockey League. Coming to you from Palm Desert, California, a mere Jacob Melanson forecheck away from the Birds' home ice of Acrisure Arena. I'm your host, Judd Spicer, along with this bi-monthly endeavor across this Firebirds' third season. Also have the privilege and the pleasure of again being your CV Firebirds insider. Those insider articles may be found online. As with all things Coachella Valley Firebirds, you can do it at cvfirebirds.com, your hockey home and your hub for everything, including tickets, merchandise information, community, roster. Get it all online at cvfirebirds.com. Per the presenting sponsor of this program, Desert Willow Golf Resort, right here in sunny Palm Desert, California, a mere 3.5 miles away from Acrisure Arena. Make it a great putt-to-puck day. Get your 18 on over at the Mountain View or Firecliff courses, respectively, and then skate it on down to Acrisure Arena for a Coachella Valley Firebirds game. Oh, when you're poking around on desertwillow.com, be sure to check out the awesome and on-site Palm Desert Golf Academy, for all your swing and golf tutelage needs. Going to be over at Desert Willow myself later this week. Got a little Sunset 9 scheduled for what I believe to be the Firecliff course. All right, not alone, friends, on this episode of Fire and Ice. Kind of a special episode. Well, we can omit the kind. It is a special episode as we're trending toward March. Firebirds head coach Derek Laxdal going to be joining me here shortly. Look forward to visiting with Lax, guy that we've got to know bit by bit over the course of his inaugural season as the Firebirds frontman. We've known him over the course of these months to be a great hockey coach, a great mind, a great motivator, and a damn good guy, too. That conversation will be coming up shortly. In the interim, let us get to this episode's Firebirds Freeze Frame segment. And yeah, the boys are on a heater of late. Winners of 4 straight, 52 games down, 20 to go as we enter the meat and the crux in the home stretch of this third season of CV Firebirds hockey. A compelling season at that, and one that only continues to find further flight. As mentioned, 4 straight wins. Record now up to 29, 17, 1, and 5. That finds the Birds tied for second place in a very packed upper echelon and even mid-pack of the Pacific Division. Tied with Calgary, just a mere 1 point behind our I-10 rival, Ontario. And man, yeah, this division so tightly packed. A mere 8 points separate first place Reign, the first place Reign, and the 6th place San Jose Barracuda, which of course the Firebirds beat to end the 5-game homestand. This recent 5-game homestand started off a little funky, but full flight as of then. Saw some of our best home hockey of the year, if not best overall and all-around hockey of the year, as the Birds went on to win the next 4 games. That again included the Sunday victory, the matinee win over San Jose, which we had not beat over the course of this season, and the preceding win, that I'm going to call the best game of the year, the best game to date that we've seen thus far. Dominating performance back on Saturday the 22nd over then first place Calgary. Birds have had good success over the Wranglers this year, now 3-1 versus our neighbors to the north. As long as we're talking schedule, let's talk a little bit more. Hope you had opportunity to catch CV during that 5-game homestand, because there is a dearth of opportunities upcoming. Birds a couple days off before hitting the road for 4 straight games. That gets underway versus Henderson. Yeah, we kind of look at them over the course of not just this year, but recent years as lowly Henderson. Not anymore. That team is starting to heat up, making their way little by little up the pack ladder. This 4-game road trip gets underway in Henderson this Wednesday, February 26th, with a 7 p.m. puck drop. Birds then have a travel day before heading to San Diego this Friday, February 28th, to close out the month. 7 p.m. start against the Gulls. A couple more days off, make it 3 in a row before a back-to-back double dip against those aforementioned Calgary Wranglers. March 4th and 5th, couple of 6 o'clock p.m. puck drops Pacific time. And yeah, friends, just 3 home games for the Birds during a bustling month of March here in the desert for all manner of activities and sporting events. Not going to see the CV Firebirds that often, though. We've got to wait until Wednesday, March 12th, when the Birds return home to Acrisure Arena versus Colorado. Speaking to you today, I think we've got a span of 37 days with just those 3 home games to watch over at the Birds Barn. Per the players leading this surge and all this fine play we've seen of late, for the Firebirds, Ben Myers now up to 40 points on the season. He's got 19 goals coupled with 21 assists. Ben has points in 9 of his last 10, and he's now 23rd, tied for 23rd overall in the American Hockey League in scoring. Right behind him, having just a truly stellar and special rookie season, Yanni Newman, the young Finn, just 20 years old. Dude has been on fire of late. 23 goals, that is a team high, matched with 14 assists. My Minnesota math tells me that's 37 cumulative points on the season to date. He's got goals in 7 of his past 8 games. He's got points in 9 of his last 10. He, of course, as mentioned across, I think, basically every episode for the last 2 months, he leads all AHL rookies in goals. And not just that, he's now tied for 3rd in the entire AHL in goal scoring. Yanni Newman having himself a terrific rookie season with CV. 30 points on the season for a couple of guys. Got to mention them. Logan Morrison, been having himself a fine month of February. 11 goals now, matched with 19 assists for Logan. Also with 30 points, defenseman Max Lajoie. 3 goals on the year, coupled with a team-high 27 assists. Per the goalies, Ales Stejka, our old friend, got his NHL debut with the Kraken yesterday. All the best to Ales, whether he's up there, whether he's down here. Great dude. We want to see him play well. Nike Coco. Desert continues to go cuckoo for Coco. Also a Finn, of course, and like Yanni Newman, his fellow Finn, just 20 years old. Got the win over the weekend over Calgary, improved to 15-4-1 in his rookie season. Goals against of 2.44 and a save percentage of .909. All of those metrics chart in the American Hockey League's top 16 for netminders. Not rookie netminders, for all goalies. Philip Grubauer, he too got a win. So enthused to have him here. Media got a chance to chat with him recently. I think that was after the Tucson win, this Wednesday pass. What a gentleman. What a polished speaker. Very, very humble, very mild-mannered guy. Enthused to get to chat with him for the first time. And he did reference some equine interests. I guess the dude is big into horses. Well, he's also been big in the Firebirds net since joining CV. 5 starts, now 4-1 on the season as Philip Grubauer down with CV. Goals against of 2.54 and a stellar save percentage of .904. All right, Firebirds friends, all that offered, all that prefaced, let's get to this episode's visit. Again, I'm going to call it a special visit with our head coach, Derek Laxdal. All right, Firebirds flock. My guest on this episode of Fire and Ice, he's a native of Stonewall, Manitoba, Canada. 20-year professional playing career, includes 67 games in the NHL for Toronto and the New York Islanders, 356 more in the American League. Direct segue to coaching, 24 years and counting. Includes respective League of Finals appearances 7 times. That's a pair of titles in the WHL, 1 in the ECHL, and a Calder Cup Finals with the Texas Stars in 2018. That's a list we're certainly looking to add to. Still got a glint and a gleam in his eye from the result of the Four Nations, and we're just a few days removed from his birthday. We welcome Firebirds head coach Derek Laxdal to the Fire and Ice podcast. Hello, Coach.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Appreciate your time here in the crux of the season as we enter the home stretch. 52 games down, 20 to go. But I'm going to harken back a little bit, if you'll suffer me that. We talked in July when you were named the Firebirds coach, and then when you had your introduction press conference. I want to kind of go back to some of those things and remind and remember, why'd you want this job?
Why did I want this job?
Yeah, why'd you go after this job?
Well, one of the biggest reasons, obviously, I was coaching the Dallas Stars 3 years ago, and then they let our staff go, and I went back to Oshawa in the OHL, and we had a good young program there. Just basically went from the bottom of the league to the finals last year with our team, and then I really enjoy coaching this level of player. Especially the young prospects from 20 and on. And I'll be honest with you, I think that one of the biggest reasons was I really love the pro schedule of your practices are in the morning, and then you do your work, and you got obviously the games are all the same. But in junior hockey, you have a lot of practices in the afternoon, so they really make for long days. That's probably the biggest thing. But the opportunity to work for the Seattle Kraken and work with the CV Firebirds is obviously one of the flagship organizations in the American Hockey League and the National Hockey League. So to be named the head coach is very humbled to obviously accept the role. But it's now that I've been here for 6-7 months, it just shows you why I wanted the job, because I heard about the passionate fans, the great building, the great city, obviously being down in California with the great weather, and then you just seeing what we have in the organization for prospects and knowing what's coming through the following years is very exciting, not only for me and my staff and the team and the fans, but just for the excitement for the Seattle Kraken, developing that next Kraken that's going to take that step.
I remember chatting with Troy Bodie a few times in the summer and interviews for articles about you. And this isn't verbatim, but he basically said your interview or interviews for this gig that you knocked him out of the park. I mean, after you interviewed for the job, did you walk away like, yeah, I nailed it. I got this?
No, no. You know me by now, Judd. I'm pretty black and white. And at the end of the day, the interview process was great. Ron Francis and the group was great. And to go through the process and obviously be offered the job to me and my family and to come down here. And then we had to build the staff, Judd. Like we had to obviously with Jessica going up, we had to build the staff. So we did some interviews with some assistant coaches, and Brendan Stoney came to the forefront, and he's been awesome. And then, inheriting Stu Beckel, Stu's been outstanding. The staff has really gelled, and we had to find a new video coach pretty late in the summer. I think in late July that Peter Tomey came on board, and he's been all these guys have been invaluable. So if you look at our team and the growth, just Colin Zulanella with the goalies with Coco, it's really been we're very fortunate to have these group of coaches. I think the guys are doing a great job.
Speaking of coaches and former Firebird staff members, Dan Bilesma give you any points of parting advice? Sometimes when a coach leaves or a boss leaves or a president leaves, there's always some parting words to their eventual successor. Sometimes people write a letter kind of helping you navigate your new home and your new gig. Did Dan Bilesma give you any advice about navigating the Firebirds or the Coachella Valley?
No, he was really good. He left me a nice bottle of port and said, "Hey, good luck. You're going to love the valley. You're going to love the weather." And obviously, he had a great run here for 2 years, going to the finals twice, and got to know him a lot at training camp. So we spoke on the phone a little bit, but just at training camp, we got a chance to, talk hockey and get to know each other a little bit. So that was good. And obviously from there, it was a lot of good information just about on players and the team. And the one thing I don't think we run the same systems as Seattle. So whatever Dan's running up there, we will run the same systems. That way, when players get called up, there's a familiarity to the systems. Like if I'm running something I like, and then that way it's not hard for these kids to go up. So, but otherwise than that, there really wasn't too much. Just I wrote a little note, good luck, and enjoy the desert and look after the birds.
You, of course, stepped into a job and on a bench and into a big chair with expectations that some might even deem unrealistic. Of course, we've been incredibly spoiled in a mere 2 years with 2 appearances in the Calder Cup finals. We are certainly still spoiled as the Birds on the heels of 4 straight, second place in the pack and just a mere point behind first. So the expectations continue to be met as we are remain spoiled here in the desert. From a coaching perspective, for you in your stops across your coaching career, is it better, easier, more challenging to step into a gig with low expectations? Or like, oh, the team before I got here stank. They didn't make the playoffs. So if I have a winning record, I'm going to look like this savior. Or is it better to step into a situation that's already really good, but you have to meet those expectations?
Well, you know what? If you look at my career as a coach, I've been to the finals like 8 times or 9 times out of 20 years or 21 years or something like that. So I've been very fortunate with the group of guys I've had. I've had great coaching staff and great teams, and it's no different. There's not a coach in the world that we don't look back at last year, the year before. We focus on the year this year, and our group of guys where we are right now and what these kids are doing is pretty impressive. To have 6 to 9 rookies in every night and competing the way they are against a pretty tough division that has some veteran-laden teams with some rookies sprinkled in. So for us, yeah, you know what? We're going to build on what's been put in place here. Like you look at the fan base, you look at the vibe in the community. I think that's awesome. I think, I don't think you could ask for two better scenarios. That's probably winning the Calder Cup. But I've been to Game 7 in the Calder Cup with Texas, and I know what it's like to lose that game. And at the end of the day, yeah, you want to build off that because that's the culture. That's the culture that's built here, and we're building on the culture that was set in place by the first 2 years of running. So you look at the fan support, you look at the vibe in the community, and it's almost like it's an NCAA vibe with an NHL team. and it's just incredible. So yeah, for us, yeah, our expectations are high. Our expectations are to make the playoffs. If you look at our goals for and against, we're right where we want to be. You look at our power play and penalty kill, it's in the top five. It's taken a huge step from the start of the season, and that's what we're about. You're not going to see prospects come into the league and just run away with it. It doesn't happen. One or two guys will elevate early. Yanni Newman, Nikki Coco have really stepped up. But then you see other kids are kind of in another lineup, finding their way. And that's what we do. But great example last night, we put David Goyette was back in the lineup. Jagger Furcus came back in the lineup, scored a goal, 2 assists. That's what we're all about. We're about winning. We're about developing that next Seattle Kraken. And it just, kind of finishes the answer. Like, yeah, our expectations are to, finish as high as we can to get home ice advantage. And then obviously the playoffs are going to come quick and go quick. I think you go best of 3, best of 5, and then you get into best of 7. So at the end of the day, we're looking forward to that and taking that run at the Calder Cup. And I can be honest with it, when you get in the playoffs, you never know what's going to happen. If you get a hot goalie, you got to get the power play hot, you get the penalty kill hot, or a couple of guys get hot. It can carry you pretty quick, and those games go pretty quick in that best of 3 and best of 5.
You passed the baton to me a few times there, Coach. A few segues to my next questions. You referenced certain stats and metrics. Is there one in particular that you look at right away between periods or right away after the game that you want to see the Firebirds doing well on a certain metric?
Yeah, there is. You know what? We look at scoring chances for and against after the periods. Colin Zulinello and Peter Tomey, they'll do scoring chances for and against. So we'll look at those. And then I'll look at turnovers. Like last night against San Jose, we turned the puck over quite often early in the, let me shut this phone off, early in the period, in the first period. And then we started to gain some traction in our game. And, it's just like any team, when you're not playing the right way and doing the right things, things are going to happen. So for us we have to make those adjustments. Those are some of the metrics that we look at after the first period. And then we could look at forecheck. We could look at breakouts if we're not breaking the puck out right. And we'll make some positional or some structural changes based on some of the notes that the coaches put down. But it's pretty quick. Like we'll only go in, talk 30 seconds because you can, the kids they're getting dialed up. They're getting ready to play the next period. So you want to give them just enough to get them dialed in and directed for the next period.
You also referenced some of the players and personnel. Something we've seen a lot of this year, Coach, are the moving puzzle pieces, whether by way of transactions. We've had some injuries. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but has that been the most challenging or among the most challenging parts of your job this season?
Yeah, they always are. Every team goes through it. Everybody's got injuries. Everybody has call-ups. And, the one thing that people don't realize is we've been playing without our captain for most of the year. Max has been injured and he's not playing. And when you lose a player to that stature in your group, your leadership, your on-ice qualities, just what he brings to the game, he drags our team into the fight. It's hard. It's because you're teaching these young kids to develop that maturity side, that leadership characteristics in their games and take it to the next level. And that's why when we have a guy like John Hayden down, you got Max Lajoie, you got Gustav Olsen, and you got Benny Myers, who's a young leader. But when those guys are called up, we really get young pretty quick, and you can see it in our game. But when John Hayden comes back, he's our big man. He's kind of our father figure in the dressing room, and when Max is around and talking to guys. But that's hard when you lose your spiritual leader like that.
Has there been one or two things thus far into your Firebirds experience in your Coachella Valley life? One or two things that have surprised you the most thus far into the year?
Yeah, one thing for sure, lack of rain.
It never rains here, man.
No, it's hockey, right? At the end of the day, you really have to you come to the office every day, you get ready to work, and there's always things thrown at you. There's call-ups or injuries or sickness or you're always dealing with something. That's hockey. It's never perfect, but then that's the beauty and the challenge of coaching. You every day presents a different issue, or every day it's a different vibe. And what we're trying to do is we're building on the culture. We're building every day. Like if you look at our team right now, we got the Christmas in our second half. we are starting to take steps going forward, right? And if you look at our division, we have a tough division. There's like 4 teams now within 64 points. And then you got the next four on the top 8 in the playoffs. So they're battling for positioning now. So it's exciting. And we talk about this with our group. Every game right now coming to the building is basically a playoff game. These are huge 4-point games. So it's exciting coming to the rink. It's exciting because you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So that's the beauty of coaching. So there really isn't much different than anywhere else. But I will say, like getting up every morning and seeing the blue sky and the mountains and coming to the rink, I think that as a player and as a coach, it just brings that extra energy that you go, oh, wow, I love this area and I love my job, and we want to make sure this works.
I asked the same question a couple weeks ago to Patrick Williams. He's, of course, covered the American Hockey League for a long, long time. How do you find that balance? It is kind of a delicate dance, but that balance between developing players for the National Hockey League and then also winning in the American League. I know different organizations have a different lens and a different look at this balance, but how do you see it?
Well, it obviously it goes hand in hand. Like, the first thing that our first job right now is we have to make sure that we manage the prospects every day and building that culture and getting them ready and give them the best chance to succeed at becoming a Seattle Kraken. That's our number one goal. But with that, the Firebirds in Seattle do a great job of sprinkling in a great group of veterans amongst our group that gives those kids a chance to win. Yeah, winning's right up there with the development, and we understand that, and that's part of the model because obviously we're here to win, but there's that fine balance. And like if you look at the first 2 years of the Firebirds, they had Shane Wright, and then they had Riker Evans, a couple guys, and they signed a free agent with Carte, and so they kind of had only like 3 pieces that they had to try and develop. But then, so the winning model back then would probably be a little bit more based on winning than development, with a development, right there. I think now it's just probably flipped a little bit. Yeah, the development is right there, but winning is just like maybe a percentage below it. So they're tied in hand. And winning for young players is probably one of the best ways to help the development. And every team, that's why the American Hockey League has pushed some more teams into playoffs, because that intensity and that hockey getting ramped up for that time of year. And you watch the playoffs, like it just takes another 10 or 15% of intensity in the games. It's just exciting to watch. But that's where the kids really get that development piece.
Between your last experience in the AHL, when you were leading the Texas Stars in 2019 to 2020, and today, just a mere 5 years later, is there a big difference that you see in this league?
Not really. You know what? I think in every year in any league, it's kids get bigger, they get stronger, they get faster. There's some equipment adjustments, I think, is the biggest thing I've seen in some of the skate, the blades and stick technology. But just the skill levels now, like the amount of skill coming through the systems in Canada and the minor hockey in the States. And if you look at the World Juniors now and the amount of countries that are developing players, it's just I think the overall group of hockey, it's just grown so much. But you look at the skill on the back end of your defense, they all could be forwards because they move so well. So biggest thing to me is just the speed of the game.
Friends, you're tuning into the Fire and Ice podcast presented by Desert Willow Golf Resort. Firebirds head coach Derek Laxdal is my guest. Coach, let's get into your file a little bit more here. You mentioned the 20-year playing career. Is that something you reflect on often, your own career?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Judd. That's a great question. I really reflect, especially coaching junior hockey. I coached, through my experiences playing. I actually played for the World Juniors for Team Canada in 1986 when it was in Hamilton, won a silver medal, and played in the National Hockey League, and had a bunch of different coaches in my playing career. And then when I first started coaching in Edmonton in the Western Hockey League, I was there for 4 years. I went to 3 finals in a row against Portland Winterhawks and won 2. And then we won a Memorial Cup in 14, which is an incredible trophy to win. But I reflect on a lot of those experiences from playing, on some of the mistakes that I made and some of the things that I saw. And it all translates to these kids, especially just, that transition from junior to pro hockey, where now you have to find your own apartment. You have to learn how to wash your clothes, cook food, get insurance in your car. Back when I played, we didn't have cell phones, but you got to get a cell phone, change it, getting your social security number so you can get paid. There's a lot going on. So I reflect on a lot of my experience, and even on ice, just talk about preparation. And then just, a lot of these kids who come out of junior, a good example is David Goyette and Jagger Furcus. They are the man. Like they are the Max McCormicks or the Andrew Proladorowskis of junior hockey, and so they never sit out a game. So this is unforeseen territory for them. So they have to manage different moments of sitting out, which I've done in my career, and so I try and reflect on a lot of the experiences that I went through as a player and try and help these kids going forward. And especially the last 2 years in Oshawa in the OHL, I'll tell you a really good example. I had Beckett Seneca, who was drafted by Anaheim third overall. Incredible talent, but the work that I did with him daily with video and discussions and just leadership and direction, he went from being a late first rounder to being a third overall. So yeah, I think it's important. I think a lot of coaches will use their experiences with players going forward. But that's the beauty of them. When you see a player take a step or you see a player get called up, it just you feel so excited for them because obviously, yeah, maybe a little bit of the message has sunken in, and you're not only proud of the player for taking that step, but I think it shows the rest of the team that hey, this is going in the right direction, and they all want to be a part of it.
Is there a difference between Derek Laxdal, the player, and Derek Laxdal, the coach?
Oh yeah, huge difference. I think the experience, just life experiences, and obviously, my experiences through junior hockey, American League, National Hockey League, and then going back to junior and back to HL. Like as a coach, you always try and get better every day, and that's the one thing we're trying to instill into our players is we want to strive for getting better every day, and I think that's important. And we learn from our experience, we learn from our failures, and we learn from our successes. And I think it's important, players, because not players. It's not always, if you look in a game, it's not always about success. You have some failures in your shifts, and you have to learn from your mistakes. And one thing we don't try and do is we don't just try and pick apart every mistake. Players have to learn how to balance that themselves and sometimes figure it out. And that's probably the hardest thing for coaches to overcoach and overcorrect. And sometimes you just have to let your players learn, and that's part of the process.
Do you feel that you are better as a player or a coach?
Well, I'll tell you what, if I knew what I knew now as a coach, if I could go back to my playing days and start over, I'd be a way better player. I think most guys would answer that in that situation.
I'm going to be careful with my pronouns in this next question. I think you accused me of aging you once, or like I was trying to at one of the post-game pressers. But I'll say we, because the media is included in this. We get older, but the players kind of stay the same as they come and go. Their ages basically stay the same. Or I'll put it this way, how do you continue to connect with the younger players as you get older and their age basically stays the same?
You know what? That's an evolving thing for me. Like obviously, communication, building relationships with your players is important, especially the younger generation. And at the end of the day, it just if you knew me as a player when I played, I was always a captain or assistant, and I just have that outgoing personality, as you probably guessed that by now. But at the end of the day, just that's what we do. That's how I go about my business. Like I build relationships with players, and I can, have conversations with them and start conversations. And the one thing, like most coaches talk about, we have an open door policy. Come in and have chats, and when they feel comfortable. And I think the biggest thing with any player coming into a new situation is gaining that trust. Doesn't matter if they're 30, 35, or 20 or 21. You have to gain that trust where they feel confident coming in. And like back when I played, you'd never go in and talk to the coach. You'd never even say hi to the coach when you played. And that's the biggest thing. That's what probably helped me with junior hockey going back in 2010 to 15 with Edmonton, is just building those relationships with kids. They strive for it. And, when kids are comfortable and kids trust you, you're going to get the best out of those players. So that's what we do. And our staff's really good. We have a very outgoing staff with Stu and Soner and Peter and Zules, where I think the group feels really comfortable, and we like the culture of our team. We think we've built on what was in place here. Our team is tight. We're one big family. They play hard for each other. And I think that when the kids feel that there's a cohesion with the staff, I think that's important, and that's who I am. I think the kids feed off that.
One of the big things for me in starting to cover the Firebirds, yeah, I love hockey. I grew up in the state of hockey. It's in my blood, but I was equally, if not more so, interested, Coach, on the impact that the Firebirds and the arena and the Burger Iceplex could have on our community. And it is all of it cumulatively has far exceeded expectations, I think, for everybody that cares about hockey or is passionate about hockey, has gone to see a game, has had their kid play junior Firebirds, playing in the adult Firebirds League, all of it. It's been a game changer for where we live. What does that mean to you, the way sport connects with community? Is that high on your list?
Well, I think it's important. I think it's you look at the times that we live in right now. If you look at where they put this arena, right on the I-10 here, and then you look at it, it's connected to 9 cities in the valley. And I like to use the word it's galvanized everybody. And we talked about what it's done, but I don't think they could have done it any better. You look at the success, the teams that they built coming into here, the success they had right off the hop. Everybody got interested. Everybody wanted to be a part of it. They wanted to say, hey, what's going on? What is this hockey thing going on down there? Who are these Firebirds? And then you just look at the fans right now. Everybody is just bought right in. And I think I told this story before to you. When I first got here, we were walking. My wife had to go to Target because she wanted to go shopping. And I think I just finished the presser. I had a Firebirds golf shirt on, and this little young girl comes over. She goes, points at me, goes, "Oh, Firebirds, Firebirds!" So it just shows you what has been put in place here has been a home run. And then it's our goal. It's our job, and it's our goal to continue it. Like you look at our guys right now, our record, we like where we are as a team, as a young team, and we're going in the right direction. You look at the game against Calgary tonight, when you only give up 2 shots in the second period and 2 shots in the third period, that to me is almost like a Picasso, and there's not many that you see in hockey. They played very well, and we got a big win against Calgary. And you know what? Every team has players coming and going. If we caught them at a little bit of a lull, but that's what this whole situation is. Like everybody comes and cheers on the Firebirds, and they take the losses probably just as hard as we do. And because they've had so much success, they know how to deal with a loss. That's a fact. So at the end of the day, it's a home run, and just the way the community has accepted our players. If they need something off ice or they need a hand looking for a house, people have been more than friendly of opening up their arms and say, hey, whatever you need to help out, do. And what can we do to help out the Firebirds? I think it's incredible. So I don't think Seattle, I don't think the Oakview group could have picked a better spot and predicted a better outcome so far.
You referenced a kid coming up to you wearing your Firebirds gear and logo back in the summer. I've asked players about this across now nearly 3 years, and I'll ask you, if you had a lot of people come up to you in the months since, recognize you, ask you questions, oh, it's Coach Laxdal, see you at the grocery store. We're still kind of a small town here in the Valley, so have you experienced that across the last handful of months?
You know what? I have to be honest with you. I'm very impressed with the knowledge of the people in the Coachella Valley. I've been to various different restaurants, or I think I told these stories at Costco one night, and I'm just walking down the aisle, and I could feel this gentleman staring at me, and I said, "Hey, how are you today? How are things going?" He goes, "Are you the coach of the Firebirds?" I go, "Yep." We had an hour discussion. So yeah, I'm very impressed at the knowledge of the fans. They know exactly. I'm sure they know the players and the coaching staff and that, and that's impressive for obviously for the area, and it just shows you how much they've taken to the team, and they're on it. They're on it.
Does it differ in some way from some of your stops and coaching jobs and some more hardcore old school hockey towns when you might cross paths with folks?
I think the only one that maybe kind of it's probably been the most I've ever seen coaching in different areas. I guess I've been recognized in some spots, but even when I played for the Toronto Maple Leafs, fans knew who you were. But with this new age with social media, just the players are all over the social media and the coaching staff. So people know who you are pretty quick, and that's caring. The fans care about the team. They care about wins. They care about losses, and this is their team. And at the end of the day, they're all a big part of it, and that's what it's all about. When there's that energy in the community, our players feel that energy, and as a coaching staff, we definitely feel the energy. And I know our goal is to come to the rink every day to get better and get ready to win games.
If you had social media or cell phones back when you were playing, would you have used those tools?
Oh yeah, I probably would have been. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't go on social media. I don't Facebook. I don't do anything. The only time I put pictures on Instagram was when I go fishing in the summer. If I put on a big walleye or a big northern, I'll put that on there. But that's about it. I just think that as a teenager, I probably would have. But where I am right now, I just don't have the time to do it. I don't have time to pick up my phone every 2 minutes. But that's the way life is now. That's that next evolution of life. It's just part of who we are. It actually becomes an extension of your actually your physical body. You got two arms, two legs, and you got a cell phone attached.
Just mentioning those leisure pursuits, we know that you're an angler, if not an avid one. What about here across this peak season? Have you had, I know how demanding your job is and how much time you spend at the Birds Barn, but have you had opportunity to explore the desert a little bit during some of these off days?
Yeah, so two things. I golfed growing up and golf playing pro and stuff like that. We'd go out, whatever. I'm not an avid golfer, but since I've been to the valley here, I've actually uh taken up some golfing more. Like after my day, I'll go hit some balls at 3 or 4 o'clock and maybe golf a few holes just before I go home and just kind of, ease the tension or just kind of clear the brain a little bit. And it's been really good for me. And actually, I'm going to be going golfing later on this afternoon because I
There you
got
go.
time to get my work done. But the other one is went for a nice hike there. I think it was a canyon up around Palm Desert or Palm Springs back. I think there's a reservation back there, East Canyon or Indian Canyon or something like that. Or that was pretty cool. And then obviously going to Joshua Tree with the wife. That was a pretty neat little trip up there to the park. So the wife's done a little bit more adventuring than I have, but it's definitely there's lots to do in the area. But I think the biggest one for me and our group is probably the golf.
I do recall you having said, not to me or other local media, but reference to getting yourself fitted, getting the right height of those sticks, and maybe even getting some new clubs.
I did. I ventured out. I got myself a set of new clubs. I got them. I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it the right way. It'll probably be the last set of clubs I ever buy. And just finally starting to get a little bit better now. But yeah, it's been good. You know what? At the end of the day, there's been so many golf courses. It's great to our organization. And then, obviously, I go next door to the Classic Club, give them a little shout out. The guys have been great over there, Luis and Victor, and it's just easy. I can get in my truck, 2 minutes, I'm hitting balls and then I'm home for dinner, and then I can just finish up the night work. And so it's actually it's nice to have that right there. And the one thing is you can go out every day. Yeah, it might be a little windy, a little dusty, but at least you're not getting rain showers or it's going to snow or sleet rain, whatever. It's pretty consistent with the weather.
I'll ask you lastly, Coach. I remember right before the Birds took that trip to Austin. I think it was right before the All-Star break. I don't know if I've seen your eyes brighten this way the entire season, but you did reference some kind of coffee, some kind of Texas pecan coffee. I don't know if you brought some of that back or if you found maybe some desert version of, I don't want to call caffeine a guilty pleasure. I got all manner of vices myself, but what kind of coffee was that? And have you found some kind of Coachella Valley version of something that's equally pleasing?
So HEB is an unbelievable grocery store in Texas. It's for me, it's just one of the best grocery stores I've ever seen. It's incredible. And they have their own brands and they have what's called the Texas pecan coffee. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I brought 3 boxes of that back from Texas, 100 K pods per box. So 300 plus I brought 3 bags of or three coffee bags of the grinds so we can put it in a coffee maker. So yeah, I enjoy 2 cups in the morning. I'm done for the day, and then I'll have green tea. But It is the best coffee out there for me, and I have not found anything close to that in the valley here. But if there's anybody out there, shout out that wants to throw some coffee our way, we'll take a crack at it. But no, it's pretty good. I'll have to bring you a K-pod in one day so you can try it.
Try it. Yeah, save one of those 300 pods if you don't mind. Coach, yours in caffeination and yours in continued success for what has been a really, really exciting third season of Firebirds hockey. Go get them on the road. Very much appreciate your time.
All right, thanks, Judd. Have a great day.
All right, Firebirds flock, it's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Fire and Ice podcast presented by Desert Golf Resort. So appreciative of your continued time, your ears, your interest, your ongoing support of this endeavor. Equal appreciation goes to this episode's guest, Birds frontman and head coach Derek Laxdal. Busy guy in the busy part of the season. Very much appreciate Coach Lax taking time to visit with us on the Fire and Ice podcast. Equal parts gratitude go to the presenting sponsor of this endeavor, Desert Willow Golf Resort, right here in Palm Desert, California. You can get your tee times online for either or both the Mountain View and Fire Cliff courses at desertwillow.com. When you're poking around there, make sure to check out the excellent and on-site Palm Desert Golf Academy. They got all manner of signature schools, daily clinics to meet your swing, interest, knowledge, and tutelage needs. Again, you can find it all online at desertwillow.com. Just about 3.5 miles away from the Birds home ice of Acrisure Arena. You know I love a good segue. Make it a putt-to-puck day. Go tee it up over at DW, and then skate on down from Cook, slide it over to Varner, catch a Birds game over at Acrisure Arena. Home schedule, as mentioned, it's a little quiet. That's a dearth of games. It's a dearth of games, friends, as the Birds start a 4-game homestand this Wednesday at Henderson. Not going to see him again back here at the barn until Wednesday, March 12th versus Colorado. Let's catch all 3 of these games. There's just 3 home games in March, just the 3 home games across a span of about 37 days. The boys get back to Acrisure Arena on Wednesday, March 12th. Let's show out. Let's show up. Let's show our support as Derek Laxdal and the CV cast and crew aim for that back-to-back pack title and eventually trend toward another playoff appearance as this season, again, hitting its home stretch, just 20 days to go. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. And remember, as always, one valley, one team, rising together.